Hey everyone, Chris here for Thoman's Guitars and Basses, and I have the absolute pleasure of having Mr. Paul Gilbert here. We're at the Ibanez Festival, Guitar Festival 2025, and I'm a long time fan, and it's an absolute pleasure having you here, not in our studio, but in front of our cameras.
That's very nice of you. Thank you.
I wanted to ask you a couple of things, but I want to kick off with a quick one.
Okay.
Shred or feel? If you have to choose one for the rest of your life.
Shred or what's the other?
Shred or feel?
Or fear?
Feel or expressing
feel.
yourself. Yeah.
Feel, absolutely.
Right?
But or both.
Yeah, it's a mean question,
at
isn't
the
it?
same time.
Yeah, right, yeah. Obviously, you're being one of the tip of the iceberg. Shred, everyone's favorite. For a very good
Grandpa
reason.
Shred.
And there's a title that comes with that, like being the Paul Gilbert. Oh, he's super quick and his technique is crazy. How do you feel about this title or this position? Like, does it feel like, oh, whatever, let's talk about music, or is it like,
it's
yeah,
good.
It's
It's
my
good
focus.
to have a job. So if I've been hired, they're paying me some money to play music. That's I can't complain about what little stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think I always want the freedom to grow. So whatever, and that's actually a difficult thing, because part of the way human beings enjoy music is they like to hear what they've already heard.
Yeah.
If I go to see a band that I grew up with, I want to hear the songs that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
And I want to hear them just like the record.
Yeah.
And I think if you're a musician who loves to improvise, that's always a little rough, because the audience is going like, well, just why don't you play the song that I grew up listening to? They want to hear that classic
That
song.
solo, yeah.
So for me, my classic songs are unusual. And of course, with Mr. Big, with ballads like "To Be With You." But if I do my own stuff, people probably want to hear Technical Difficulties or Scarified, which are not particularly interesting songs to me at this point in my life.
Yeah.
So often I don't play them, and I can tell people in the front row are like, I came to hear Technical Difficulties. Why is he playing this song by the Doors? And so I have to be careful about that, or at least I am aware of it, because you want to make the audience happy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to be happy too. So there's usually enough songs in the set where everybody can be happy.
It's especially interesting because I know how much you also enjoy improvising and keeping it fresh night after night, which is again something that, as you said, people expect to hear. Well, the album really, or the version that they know. And how can you balance it out? Like, you enjoy that evening, it has something exciting about it, but also the audience will say like, "Wow, that was awesome."
Well, I think the trick is to know how to enjoy improvisation, which is something I had to learn. Because I always remember when I saw the Led Zeppelin movie when I was a kid.
Okay.
And I was a big Led Zeppelin fan. And the exact thing we're talking about happened.
Yeah.
Where, I'm expecting to hear the classic Led Zeppelin songs, and they're playing these long jams. And I'm watching the movie just, as a kid, just going like, what's going on? Why are they playing 20-minute jams? I've never heard. And, as time went on, I really learned to love it. But here's the trick is, I found that when I listen to a great blues player or a great jazz player or a great improviser, I have a sense if they're connected to what they're hearing in their head.
Wow.
Now, of course, it's a guess. I don't know for sure, but I think I can make a pretty good guess that they're, and I call it telling the truth. Because if they're playing what they hear in their head, they're telling the truth in that moment. If they're playing fingering patterns, then it still might be good, still might be in tune, still might be musical, but they're kind of playing, they're not in the moment. They're playing something they practiced 2 years ago, and that and there's something really, I'll say, like, spiritual about being in that moment, and they're playing exactly what they're hearing. And I know when it happens to me as a musician, when I'm able to do that, which is not all the time, but sometimes I get it, those are the best moments, and it's just better than anything when it's like, I'm playing exactly what I hear in my I call it the inner melodic generator. It's like
Cool,
I
yeah.
feel like it's a little
Yeah.
machine in my
Yeah.
brain that's coming up with melodies. And it's interesting to try to connect to that because sometimes the inner melodic generator is silent.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go like, okay, give me something, and there's nothing. and that's to me that it's good to find that out too,
Yeah,
and go,
yeah.
okay, well if I don't have anything, I've got to feed it something. I've got to do more listening, or I've got to learn how to start it up.
Yeah.
But that's something that when I as a kid, if I would hear a blues player like B.B. King, I wasn't that interested in it. I'd be like, oh, he's not playing fast, and
Not impressive
just blues
enough. Yeah.
Now when I hear B.B. King, I'm blown away because he tells the truth the whole night. Yeah. You can tell he's just he's actually using his singer brain to play guitar.
Yeah.
And not all guitar playing has to be like that, but that's my current passion. So I can talk about it forever.
But I'm not surprised at all because first of all I love your latest release, the Dio project, the album, especially that one song. Wait. Don't Talk to Strangers.
Oh yeah.
If you didn't hear this album yet, just do yourself a favor. I love, first of all, the playing sounds like I can hear Dio in my head.
Yeah.
Whilst I hear you play. It's like it's a crazy experience, which is really really nice to listen to, and I think a lot of young players should. I mean, this is my take.
Yeah.
I started off heavy rock, metal,
Me too.
as a lot of us.
When I was young, I didn't want to play melodies.
I want to play fast
that's
as
the singer's
possible.
job.
Like, I want to play like you or Steve Vai or John Petrucci or whatever. And after a long time, I realized that if I slow down and play just 3 notes, it sounds like a beginner. Even though I can play fairly fast, sweep pickings and whatever, I'm like, oh, I gotta stop here for a second. Is there like an overall idea or like a tip you could give to like young people who practice now when to start to pay attention to expressing yourself and like pay attention to a single note?
Well, that's
Because technique is very important, of course, to be able to even do something on a guitar. But
well, I think it's nice to have as little homework as possible. Like to make the first steps easy steps.
Yeah.
So to me, the first thing is to choose a melody that you already know.
Okay.
So you don't have to learn anything. Like it's something that's already in your head. So if you grew up, I grew up listening to the Beatles. There's a lot of melody already in my head from their vocal lines. And initially, when I would try to play a Beatles melody, I'd give up.
Yeah.
Because like Hey Jude, for example, they're like, oh, Hey Jude, that should be easy, right? First of all, it's in F. Yeah, and it's major, and it's in a range that's kind of low compared to where guitar solos usually are. And so when I tried to play just the first couple notes, Hey Jude, I'm like, this is not. I don't want to be here.
Wrong.
This is, like it felt bad for my hands. Like I didn't like that area of the guitar to what I was used to.
Yeah.
But when you do something you're not used to, that's actually opening a door. Yeah. And again, if something feels bad like it did for me then, I think giving up is a great thing. But that just doesn't mean give up forever. That means come back to it later or search around a little more and try again and keep searching for the thing, for the door that opens a little more easily.
Okay.
So I might go, okay, well that Beatles song, that's not working right now. Let me try another one. And I'm trying to think one of the first ones that worked for me actually was Janis Joplin, a song called Mercedes-Benz, which is a nice song to play because it's a cappella. There's no, the only instrument is her stomping her foot.
Yeah.
It's her foot and her voice. And the problem is it's in E flat. Horrible guitar key.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got the computer. I can change it to E. So okay, now the notes are in the right place. Like you have a fighting chance of seeing where the notes are. And I spent months on that. Because it's never, you hardly ever hit a note right on the note. Yeah. It's always like sliding into it Joplin, or hammering onto it, or also the big thing I've noticed with my students who have done a lot of scale practicing is you attack the note, and then you have the decision: how long does it last? Do you slam on the brakes and make it staccato, da, or do you da? And if it's long, how does it end?
Yeah.
Does it you slide off? Do you go to another note? Do you have vibrato? So all those little things, if they're not intentional, you could tell. If it's not intentional, it doesn't sound good or feel good. But once you start really having like an opinion, like, oh, it's got to be this. Like there has to be vibrato there. You know, like you get angry if it's not. You know, so you have to really become like opinionated about those things. Like, of course, because you listen to the melody enough, or you develop your own instincts about those seemingly small decisions. But they're in a melody. That's what brings it to life. That's what the difference between like a robotic, MIDI controller hitting everything with the same tone and texture and length, to bring the thing to life and having it move people and make the hair stand up on your arm.
Yeah, that's the Guitar Pro sound, or the overproduced sound when there's no more dynamic range, no more intentional mistakes or imperfections. I wanted to ask you.
That's the thing. It's not a mistake. It's extremely intentional.
Yeah. I mean the human element, and not like a mistake, as if like, oh, I didn't want that to happen, but like coming a bit too early or a bit too late to make it groove, or that kind of the human element.
Well, that's one of the things that's great to practice. Like that I found myself doing like a rehearsal today. Is we do this big long Led Zeppelin medley, and one of the songs is How Many More Times.
Oh.
Great riff, boom, da ba dum, ba dum, da da da. But and the riff, it's a simple riff, but it's it's very on the beat. But I'm singing it too, and when I'm singing, he's not on the beat. Like he's a little bit over. Yeah. He makes the notes a little bit longer, and I have to do both, and it's like juggling. Because my guitar is like hitting right on the square on the beat. Yeah. But how many more times treat me the way you wanna do? It's all real lazy.
Yeah. But the hands have to keep on doing it.
My guitar can't be lazy. So, and when you're able to do that, and if that's one of the best feelings in the world. Because you get the joy of like. Of two things at the same time. That's just the best feeling.
Especially when you don't have to concentrate on it anymore. You can just actually enjoy the nuances and don't have to just focus on, hey, just you guys keep on doing your thing.
One thing has to be easy enough where you can clear out some mental space and go, okay, well, this is on automatic.
Yeah.
Just have like 5% brain paying attention to that. And then
love the idea of telling your brain, hey, you 5%, you focus on that. I wanted to ask about craving for perfection, because that's something that we all have to deal with. I think everyone who wants to become like an amazing guitar player, and that should be the goal always. Is there like a healthy way or amount of focusing on perfection? Because there's the thing, the last couple of weeks especially, but like for quite a few years now, overproduced or like super highly produced releases or social media posts or people who really focus on not even sounding human anymore, to a point of like, oh my, is that even doable? Like we've come to a point where it's kind of scary for younger people to even try, because they won't. It's really hard to sound that overproduced unless you know how to overproduce yourself. It's a weird goal that we get faced with. Is there like do you have like a take on this? On like,
well, my first thought is that my version of that when I was a kid was classical music. Because I liked Led Zeppelin, and I even as a kid I could sort of hear the flaws.
Yeah.
Jimmy Page played something fast, and it was loose and had rough edges. Yeah. And then my parents had Bach harpsichord concertos and
Vivaldi,
the amazing violin things, and so I would hear that, and that was very technically
perfect,
very very perfect. Yeah. And I remember wanting that almost like having an impressive business card.
Okay.
Just to show, like, look, I'm a good person. I've got my diploma.
Oh yeah.
It's just sort of a statement of like, I've put in the hours. So I've got my license.
Okay, you're playing being the license or your diploma.
Yeah, like I can do it clean.
Yeah.
But as a fan, if I would listen to the Led Zeppelin records way more than the classical records, because they moved me. They were more exciting to me. And I could go, I'd be like, oh, if I would, if I was going to play that Jimmy Page, like maybe I'd try to clean it up a little bit. But it didn't. I didn't want to clean it up because it would improve the music. I wanted to clean it up so my grandpa wouldn't think I was lazy. It was more trying to not get criticism from old people.
Yeah.
And as a listener, like awesome. I don't care, it rocks. It feels great. I love this. And so that's the thing is to be able to step back. I often use the metaphor of a microscope.
Yeah.
If you spend all your time looking at the details through the microscope, it's really easy to miss the big picture. And it's you need both. I mean, I love looking at details through the musical microscope and getting everything perfect and as much as I can. But at the same time, I love stepping back and listening to the whole thing and hopefully the microscope hasn't messed it up.
Yeah.
Because it's often it's time better spent with the big picture, and if you got the details together, it's the bigger stuff.
It's where the whole thing
really important.
fits together. Yeah. You can zoom in, but you don't have to always zoom in. Both works. Yeah. Oh, that's.
So I'm not so familiar with the modern perfect people.
Yeah.
But. I think as long, and the only other thing is I hope it doesn't slow them down in terms of, I mean that's that. Let me put it this way: when I first became like a professional, and I joined Mr. Big, I couldn't believe how little rehearsal we did.
Okay.
And we didn't have time to. It was like, we got to be on the road. We got to do this album. Like, there's not time. Like, because when I was a teenager, we would, spend 3 months rehearsing for a gig.
Yeah. Every evening.
Yeah. And now it's like, we got 3 hours. Woohoo! And so, as you become a professional, there's really you have to be able to handle a situation where you can perform and get the music across without having spent months of preparation making it perfect. So you have to kind of realize, like, in a perfect world, I might be able to put all that rehearsal in, but once I get my career going, there's just not going to be time. So you better, whatever you do, you have to be able to get it together quick.
Yeah. Before the whole thing kicks off, because then it's going to be tough. It's a perfect segue. What's up with you in 2025? What are your plans? Where can we see you after today's Ibanez Guitar Festival?
Well, I've got a tour of Italy coming up in a couple weeks, or in like the end of June and July. That'll be fun. I've got the Woodshed with Andy Wood
nice.
in Nashville. That's
I've heard about it. Yeah.
Guitar camp. That's in September. And in between it all, I'm writing a new album, which is almost written. And I'm going to record that in July and hopefully have it out, however long it takes the record company to put it in their
schedule.
Put it in their lineup and get it on the treadmill.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you.
You guys take it easy. And of course, if you have any questions, hit us up in the comments below and you'll get a link for the tour dates coming up this year. And see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Right on.
Very, very enjoyable. Thank you. Perfect.